It's ball talk. It's ball talk, baby. 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 Baby.
All right, hello and welcome to the Ball Talk podcast. I'm your host, John Sock. As always, I'm joined by my main man, Chaz Jurgens. Chaz, how are you doing today?
You know who it is. I'm good. Good day today. You know, John, a little bit of snow on the ground. It's always nice to start April off with some snow in Montreal.
Don't remind me about that snow. I do not need that. I do not need that in my life. Do not put that evil on me, Ricky Bobby. What's it called? It is currently 2:50 p.m. on Thursday, April 1st, whatever. Happy birthday to my mom tomorrow when this comes out. Big happy birthday to my mom. We love you so much. This episode is going to be fun. It's a two-parter. We're starting off with an interview with my old teammate, for Memphis Tiger, IMG alum, son of
NIT
Hardaway,
champion.
NIT champion, Jayden Hardaway. It's really awesome. It's a really good one. Like, please, check it out. You're going to love it. Then we're going to transition to doing some NCAA tournament stuff, talking about the Elite Eight, the Final Four, prospects. I'm probably going to go on a rant or something. We're filming that in a little bit. But tune in. All right, we're here with Jayden Hardaway from the Memphis Tigers, former teammate of mine at IMG Academy, and more importantly, one of the most stand-up guys I know. Jay, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. I'm glad to be on this podcast.
And it's a pleasure to have you. Thank you so much for coming on. So You just finished your third season at Memphis. You're a redshirt sophomore. A lot of people don't really understand the redshirt experience. I honestly don't either. I redshirted because I got injured, and so obviously I wasn't participating in anything. Can you talk to us about the redshirting experience? Like, what did you do during the year? What were you allowed to do, not allowed to do, practice, game day, that kind of stuff?
Yeah, so I decided to redshirt that first year because I was still like super young coming into Memphis, even though after the post grad year, and then we had a team full of seniors, and then a team full of like 4- and 5-star recruits. So I knew I wouldn't play that much that first year, so I decided to redshirt just to focus on getting stronger, getting used to the speed of like Division I college. And so like as a redshirt, you basically do everything that the players do. Lift, practice, like you're involved in all the drills, all the scrimmages, and everything. The only thing that I guess like the only thing that's different is like you'll probably like lift more than the regular players do. Okay. And I wanted to be the most prepared going into the year after, so I was in the gym a lot more than the other players were. But as a redshirt, you basically just do everything that the rest of the team does except for play. And I was just grateful that they let me travel with the team because I don't think redshirts usually travel with their team. So.
Yeah, I did not travel at all when I was a redshirt, which sucked because we traveled everywhere. We had a D1 flying schedule, so I was all alone.
Yeah, so I was just grateful that my experience was like, help me out to like, I guess like most like effectively.
For me, sorry, go ahead, John. I was going to say
what clearly prepared you very well. I mean, you had a really good redshirt sophomore season. You played every single game, if I remember right. You got some starts. You had a couple of insane dunks. You had that one poster, dude. Was that on Sports Center? That had to have been on Sports Center.
I think it was.
ESPN.
It was You had a crazy season. We'll definitely have that dunk on our Ball Talk IG page later. So from that year, I mean, and you weren't a 5-star recruit. You weren't a 4, but now you're playing next to basically all these guys that are top recruits.
Yeah, I was a 2-star coming out of IMG. I didn't get my star until that year.
Really? You didn't even have a star before? That's crazy. I mean, as someone who played with you, I know how good you are. And I know how crazy, legendary work ethic type player right here. Like, I know how long you spend in the gym. That's really surprising. And I'm not at all surprised that now you're playing on a team that, I mean, you guys just won the NIT. You guys were going to be a 1 seed last year before the tournament got canceled.
Yeah.
Could you talk to us a bit about what it's like winning the NIT tournament, both from the standpoint of you as a player as a program, and also like for someone like you who redshirted, who didn't have all the stars coming out, like all of that?
Yeah, I mean, as a player, it was really exciting winning that because I mean, we just spent that whole year working for it, and like to have that, in my resume, being a champion, of any tournament, even if it's the NIT, I mean, it's still like really impressive, and I just love the fact that that's on my resume. But I think it was like more of an impact to our program, just because like we had some, like we experienced some adversity early in the year that like it hindered our chances of making the big tournament because we never won games like our quad one wins, I guess what they call it. We didn't win those, so they didn't let us in the tournament, even though we should have been in the tournament. So winning the NIT was more of just like a statement saying like y'all should have let us in the tournament. Like we won this with ease. Like we're gonna be in this big dance next year. So I think it was the second NIT championship of all time in the history of the school. So when we got back from Texas, like all the fans like greeted us, like when we was coming off the plane and stuff, like the whole city showed love that day. It was really nice to be a part of.
That's awesome. And so that's second NIT tournament win. That's big. I feel like people sleep on the NIT, especially like your team has so many players that are looking at the NIT. I mean, looking at the NBA. Musa Diabite, I know he's on a lot of big boards. He's on my big board. And a couple other names on your team are trying to get drafted. So having that extra film is huge for them. But for you, as someone like you took the red shirt, you had 2 stars, and now you're like, yeah, I'm in the NIT. I'm in the rotation. I'm balling out. How did that feel for you as Jayden? Like,
yeah, it was definitely rewarding and a testament to all the hard work I put in, coming into the program and coming into this season. So I'm just going to carry that same mentality into next year, and hopefully y'all see me do a lot more next year.
So as we said, you found your way into the rotation. You found your role. How was that for you? Because I know your program. There was the I guess we could call it tumultuous saga with James Wiseman, where he was in and he was out, and I will forever hate the NCAA for robbing us of watching him. The only like shred of goodness is that there wasn't an NCAA tournament, because if we didn't get to watch him and Precious play together in the NCAA tournament, I would have fought somebody. I would have fought somebody straight up. That was an insane team that I am still angry we didn't get to see a lot of. And with that, you still have a lot of top level recruits this year that are in and out. How hard is it to work your way to find your role on a team where the pieces are moving so often? There's new people here and there. How does that work for you?
Yeah, because we're such a guard-heavy team, and we have a lot of guards who like came in with the reputation of being like the best players on their teams or whatever. Like we had a lot of guards who were like looked at like in the draft boards. I mean, all of our guards will probably be pros at some point in their career. So just me working my way into the rotation was like extremely hard. I basically had to spend 2 years proving that I belonged. And then, they like finally just accepted the fact that, they could use me out there. So that's why I just worked my way into the rotation. But I mean, it was a grind for real. Like there was lots of days where I was like not down on myself, but like I had to just like, kind of just refocus myself, like keep myself motivated. Like I was just confident that I would be like, how I would have a role on this team. And I just, I made it happen.
And I was not, as someone who's seen you play, I'm not at all surprised to see that. For anyone who's listening, Jayden is basically the perfect glue guy for any team. But I'm not gonna sit here and go on for an hour about that. It's probably like a month before signing day, when we were in our post grad year. It might have been more, it might have been less. I didn't go and check the newspapers. Your dad got hired to be the coach of the Memphis Tigers.
Yeah.
And you had, if I remember, 5-6 offers before that, something like that. You had some offers before that.
Yeah, the offers were just starting to roll in. Like I had met with Mahoney in his office, and he had given me a list of schools that were looking at me, and literally like probably like a couple of days after the week after my dad got the job, and he called me immediately. just offered me like right on the spot. So I knew that's what I would end up.
I like that. I like. You think your dad would have kicked you out if you didn't commit there?
Yeah, I don't know how that would have been. Them family awkward.
Mm-hmm.
That's mad funny. You committed pretty quickly right after. What's it like playing for your dad? Because for most people, you know, oh, like the athletic kid, they played for their dad like in middle school. You're now in college on the highest level in like one of the best programs in the entire NCAA Division I, like absolutely top, and you're playing for your dad, which is, I mean, as an outsider looking in, like I don't want to dish on Brad Calipari right here. I know that he couldn't crack Coach K's rotation at Kentucky and he transferred out because he wasn't that level of player. You are that level of player. How weird is it for you? Like, is it a challenge? Is it playing for your dad? How is it for you? Like,
well, I go into it like mentally, like as if I'm playing for any other coach, but I know that he's gonna like push me harder than any other coach would. So it's definitely like made me a lot better than I probably would be right now in the long run. I know that like I have to go into the game basically like with the mentality of like, you know, if I don't show up, you know, then I'm just gonna, you know, I'm not gonna play, I'm not gonna be involved. So it definitely like helps push me to another level mentally. And you know, I work out with him a lot. I know a lot of you know, college players, you know, don't work out with their head coach like that. They probably have to find their own like trainers and stuff. But you know, just, you know, blessed by the fact that, you know, he's in the league, one of the best point guards of all time. You know, those workouts, you know, have helped my game tremendously. So definitely a blessing to play for him.
That's a good way to look at it. And you were on his AAU team. How long has he been your primary coach? That's really where I want to go with this question.
So my first time playing for him in high school was the summer going into my junior year. He wanted me just to like play. He wanted me just to practice like playing against better competition or whatever. So I was like playing EYBL 17 and under, but I was only 15 years old. So like I would come in like a couple of games and like go out there and like, you know, I wanted to like be the best, obviously, but I mean it definitely helped my game. And then I played the 2 summers after also. And then my senior year of high school was when I transferred to Memphis East and we won the state championship there. And that was really my first time like playing for him in a full season. And then I feel like, yeah, I've been playing for him since like 2015, 2016, besides with the 1 year at IMG.
Nice. Yeah. And was when you were growing up, was he like, I'm trying to figure out how to phrase this. Was he like your primary mentor as a basketball player? Or did you have someone else that was like the coach that you'd be working with?
Yeah, so yeah, as I grew up, all the way up until middle school, he was my primary like mentor, coach, trainer. And then I don't know if you saw like his documentary or not. I don't know if you watched it on like ESPN 30 for 30. But in middle school, you know, he went back to coach a middle school team here to help out his childhood friend, you know, who was like sick. He had like cancer or something, and that's like a whole story. Yeah, RIP him. But yeah, so he had to come back, you know, help the city, help his neighborhood who was grieving at the time. So my middle school years, I had this trainer who was his name is DeVell King, and I've been working out with him like ever since the 6th grade. And he's been, besides my dad, of course, my primary mentor. And you know, he's definitely like one of the main reasons I'm here. I am where I am at today.
All you, Chad.
I was gonna say, what's it kind of been like taking this journey as you go through like middle school, high school, developing into now like a D1 rotation athlete, and having your dad sort of along the way coaching you in AAU, UIBL, but not necessarily in high school. Like just to go about those steps with him, what's it kind of been like to see both of your games and coaching like styles just grow together?
It's been cool to see. You know, it's been a long journey, and my journey is continuing. And you know, regardless of my dad was coaching me or not, you know, I've always just like, because I've been overlooked my whole life. I've always just tried to like perform my best and like try to get to the point where I'm at today. You know, me being a part of a Division I team, you know, didn't seem possible at one point throughout high school just because I had like basically no offers until I went to IMG. So, you know, I'm just, you know, grateful for where I'm at today. I definitely worked hard all of my entire life, you know, to get here. My dad was a big part of that. You know, he instilled his mentality in me. So
that actually leads me to another question I wanted to talk about. So you were the son of an NBA superstar who made, yeah. I don't know if you know Zaire Wade. He's had kind of a similar journey to you in a lot of ways.
mm-hmm.
You both played in high school, were under recruited, insane. I mean, I've heard he has an insane work ethic. I've seen your insane work ethic.
Mm-hmm.
Both of your dads were NBA superstars, played in Florida, went to the finals with Shaquille O'Neal. I think that's just hilarious to say. He's also most likely going to be going to a school similar strength to Memphis. I hope for his sake. I think he's a really good player, but not as a one and done type guy.
Mm-hmm.
Now, being the son of an NBA superstar comes with lofty expectations. I've been watching Zaire Wade workouts since he was in the 5th grade.
Yeah.
Is there any advice you'd give to other kids that are in similar situations to you, to him, that are kind of under recruited, but also have this lofty expectation of people expect me to do this? Like,
just honestly, just not to worry about anyone else's expectations of you. Just focus on being the best you can be. You know, always bet on yourself. Always work harder than everyone else around you, and the work will pay off. Honestly, because I mean, I think Zaire has a pretty great shot. You know, landing some D1 offers. He's definitely but I mean, a lot of the highlights I watched, I mean, he was better than me than how I was in high school. So, and my whole recruiting experience changed in 1 to 2 years. So, I mean, it's just just keep working hard. You know, your blessings will come to you one day. And when you get to, that school where you at, you got to work even harder. You know, I mean, it doesn't stop there. So,
yeah, I'm pretty sure Zaire Wade has actually dunked on my little brother, or at least got a few buckets on him. They're playing in the same conference this year, and that Brewster team this year is just monstrous. It's a shame that there's so much COVID and it's so hard to watch them play. I'm pretty sure they're even playing in masks, which is just
I couldn't imagine.
Whole thing. People generally look at being a kid, being the child of an NBA superstar as like a total win. And we just talked about lofty expectations that I think are completely ridiculous and unfair.
Mm-hmm.
What are some of the tougher parts that people don't talk about? What are some of the things that people don't know that come with the gig of being the son of someone who went so high in the sport?
Basically, just I feel like it's more the off the court things than on the court. That's more of the pressure, because you don't want to do anything that could result in drama for your family, for the whole world to know about, making a mistake off the court, legal trouble, or it's a bad situation. You want to just keep your reputation clean. That's really the hardest part, because everyone's watching your every move. So
yeah.
That's an interesting way to take it. I wasn't expecting that. Sorry, I just had to put that out there. Chaz, you were going to say something?
I wanted to talk about, we mentioned the red shirt and stuff. I had a question I'd forgotten to ask. It was just more those practices at Memphis. We talked about how y'all got a lot of 4 or 5 star, really NBA guy recruits. What is it like having to go at those guys and you yourself? Because obviously you earn minutes, and we all know what it's like to earn minutes. You got to beat people in practice. So what are those situations like where you really working with these guys like Boogie Ellis, like Musa Diabate, where you got to battle against these talented kids, but at the same time you're I'm coming for your minutes right now?
Yeah, I mean, you got to be on your A game every day. Our practices are always extremely competitive. You know, we do a lot of competition drills. So, I mean, during those drills, it's your time to shine. You know, you got to show what you're working on. Basically, you have to like in order for me to like get the minutes that I got this year, I had to like go on a spell where I had to like dominate practice just to even like get that chance. It's a hard road. So you just got to take advantage of all the opportunities you get to showcase your game.
And so Chaz mentioned all the NBA and 5-star guys, and I mean, you and I both played with the same NBA guy in Ant Simons, and I am hoping, I imagine you're hoping too, that Eric gets drafted this year after he had an amazing performance in the tournament.
Yeah.
I am advocating very hard that someone draft him. That's a different story. What? So you're also playing with Lester Quinones. I can't pronounce his last name.
Yeah, Quinones.
Thank you. Very much similar. I'm picking him not because I want to disrespect him in any way.
Yeah.
With Ant, he went straight from IMG to the league, and now he is balling. He is the sixth man there. They've made minutes for him. He's going off. For Lester, he didn't have that opportunity. He had to go to Memphis. He's in year 2 now, I think.
Yeah.
He'll probably either get drafted he'll get drafted at some point. But he's not that same level of recruit that Ant was. And once again, that's not a shot at Lester. Like I will never touch the league. I will never touch a big board. Definitely not throwing stones. What is the difference? What are some of the differences that you notice as someone who has played with these levels of players, where it's like, oh, and this guy's going to the NBA right now, and this guy's going to go to the NBA in a few years, and this guy's going to go to the NBA and sit for a bit? Like, what are things that you as a player notice that us talking heads that get to watch you guys will not notice?
Especially just the way that that they approach the game, and the way that their skill sets line up with how what teams are looking for. Because Ant has such a vast skill set, and he's a freak athlete who can light up the scoreboard in an instant. And any team in the league is looking for that. And his potential out of IMG was really his biggest thing, because they knew he could turn into a really big part of the Trailblazers, and he is right now. And that was a great draft pick.
Yeah.
But
I was praying he'd fall one more to my Lakers, but he did not. I would have bought a jersey right there. I had it queued up.
Be a better fit on the Trailblazers. But Lester's part of me. He's an extremely hard worker. Coming out of high school, he was known as being a scorer and a shooter, but he's definitely him and my dad have worked on just adding more aspects to his game. He's making plays now. He's really our best guard rebounder on the team, which is big. Because teams look for that too. And he's still a really good shooter. But Ant was really just known as that not even a one and done. Just did his 1 year.
This is 0 and done.
Just he going.
Potential alone.
And
his vast skill set.
Yeah, and he had a crazy work ethic, just like you. I want to talk about Lester actually, because you mentioned something interesting about your dad and him work on adding more to his game. How? I'm imagining you're part of a lot of the workouts. You see everything that's going on. You're part of how do guys like Lester balance building skills for college and building skills for the league? Because a lot of, it's just the NCAA tournament just happened, and everyone is freaking out about all the players, and they're forgetting that it's 2 different kind of basketballs.
Yeah.
How does Lester balance it? How does your dad balance it?
Well, thankfully, my dad, he's been a part of countless numbers of NBA workouts. He knows what to work. He knows how to take each of our individual games to the next level. So we really just put our trust in him. And I think that's just how he balances the two. We really just trust him that we know that he knows what he's doing. His game, he dominated the NBA level. We've seen him we've seen him help players, get to the league, such as Precious, the year before. So we just trust him, and we know that one day whenever we reach our goal of making it to the professional level. And then like those workouts and the advice that he gave us is going to help out.
Mm-hmm.
For sure. We've been talking about, John's been raving about your work ethic. I'm sure you're a hardworking guy. What do you got working on this offseason? What's coming to the game the most? What are you trying to show off next year? Adding to it the workouts, the jump shots coming back 45% from three next year. We're postering everybody. What's coming for the NCAA D1 next season?
Yeah, I'm definitely going to be working on my jumper next season. For next season. This past year, I definitely sort of transformed myself into more of a playmaker, more of a guy who gets downhill on defenders now. So I'm gonna be working on that a little bit more, and then just continue working on my body. That's just the main thing, because I mean I kind of have a thin frame, and that's just how I'm built. And then, you know, as I get stronger every year, the game becomes easier to me. So that's definitely going to be a big part of my off-season training.
Yeah,
And
definitely
I'm
it's
sure-
a big thing that everyone's valuing, being big enough to guard all the multiple positions. Sorry, Chaz, I didn't mean to cut you off.
It's all good. I'm sure with your dad, you guys go through a lot of film and have been watching basketball together since you were a baby. But are there certain guys that you will sit together and watch, or that you individually really like to watch to try to learn from or model your game after, or like get workouts from type thing?
So NBA players I like watching.
NBA players, college players, like guys you play against, even guys on your team, you know, like where it's like, okay, you got a couple moves right here where I need to just come after practice and we're going to work out how to get this done because this seems to be working for you and I want to put that in my game.
Yeah, I like I like watching like pure scorers tape. So I watch a lot of like Bradley Beal. You know, I watch like Jason Tatum film. Dame and CJ McCollum. Just guys who have an knack for scoring. I've just kind of study like different areas, like different ways, like how they just find a way to put the ball in the basket. So, but then I mostly just watch my own film to see what I can do differently, because I know that I have like my own game and I can't really completely copy someone else's game. So I think I just focus on making my game the best it can be.
I can't remember if it was you or Ant that told me this story when we were all at IMG together, but I loved it. I loved it at the time. It's still a great story to me. The story of how you guys met. And for the listeners, Ant is named after your dad, right? Mm-hmm. That's yeah. Please tell us the story. I love it so much. I needed to hear it again.
Yeah, so we was in it was in the 6th grade, and we was in like a showcase in like Fort Lauderdale. It was called like Battle for the Rankings, and I think it was either one of the showcase games, and like he was like really killing, and like no one really know who he was like that. They just kept saying Anthony on the speaker or whatever. So my mom came up to me and was like was the announcer saying Anthony or Anthony? Because Anthony is your dad's name, and I was like, I think he was saying Anthony. So like she found his mom and was asking if she found his mom, and she was like, "Is your kid named Anthony?" And he was like, "Yeah, he was named after Anthony Penny Hardaway." My mom was like, "Wow, that's crazy, because this is his son right here." And then that was just a crazy coincidence. So then I guess about that tournament, our moms was got close to each other or whatever. They became friends, and then throughout the summer, Ant joined our middle school AAU team, played a couple of he played in a couple of tournaments with us, helped us win a lot of games. He was one of our better players, and we just became close all throughout middle school and just developed into a great friendship. And then I would go to see him during the summers, during travel ball, because he's from Orlando and I'm from Miami. So I mean, we couldn't see each other that much because a 4.5 hour drive. Yeah. But yeah, so when I saw that he was going to IMG, I was looking for post-grad teams to go to, and I just knew it was a perfect opportunity to play with him again. That year was really special.
And I think you both kind of flourished having each other to play off each other. I remember some crazy dunks and lots of great kickouts to each other.
Yeah.
All right. I know you got to run. So I got one last question before we let you go.
Okay.
James Wiseman, I know there was all that the crazy saga. For those that don't know, the NCAA said he could play and then said he couldn't, and they flip-flopped like 80,000 times, and I can only imagine how annoying it was for him. But one of the big things the media talked about is how close you and your family are to him and his family. For one, is that true? And then for two, like, talk to us about it to see, like, tell us what it's like to see your teammate and your friend go through this madness and how it affects the team.
Yeah, I mean, I felt really bad for him when all that went down because the NCAA were really hating on us, and they they were really doing like the most when all that.
Ridiculous.
But his family and my dad are really close. James played for Team Penny. When I was going into my senior year was when he played for Team Penny, and he was a pretty well-known recruit. But that summer is when he really like flourished and like made it up to like the number one spot. So him and my dad really had that. They had a tight connection. And then the year after I graduated is when he came to play for East, and I think that's the year that the NCAA was talking about like my dad like paid for like all his stuff to like move, and that's when they brought that up like 2 years after all that happened. And I think they said like it was like against the NCAA because my dad, I guess he had like donated to the school in like some event, so they like classified him as a donor instead of like a coach. It was all that whole scenario. I mean, it kind of confused me when all of it happened. I just knew that it was like pretty messed up that they made him sit out that whole entire year. And I mean, I felt where James was coming from. He was like, I'm really just gonna prepare for the league because y'all just robbed me in my whole college season. James came in with the mentality like I'm trying to bring a championship to the city, and because they robbed him of that opportunity, I don't blame him for leaving. Actually.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so he got what was it, like 2 games and put up like 30 in both. How was that as a team? I know that Precious had to step up to become the starting center, and it actually wound up vaulting his draft stock a lot. A lot of people still talk about how he kind of took that opportunity and showed everyone that he's also an NBA level player. But for the team, it's uncomfortable to not know if you're gonna have your best player on any given night. Like how did you guys handle that? How did the team dialogues go with it? How did you guys adapt?
Yeah, we use it as motivation. We use it just to build up like that extra fire for us to go out there and play hard and win games for him. And thank God Precious stepped up to being our 5-man that year because it's like coming into that year, he was known more of like a wing player, like a stretch four, like a face-up four. But that year, he became really great at defending like positions like 1 through 5, setting screens, catching lobs, blocking shots, postering people. He was the pivotal part of our success that year, and we're just grateful. I mean, he stepped up in James' place because if we had James, we definitely would have been in the tournament. We would have been at least in like the Elite 8 or Final 4.
I had you guys winning it all with James, and I don't think that was ridiculous at all.
No.
James Precious front court, unstoppable.
For sure.
All right, it's been the 30 minutes that you promised us you'd be here for. Anything you want to say to the people before we send you out?
I just want to thank y'all for letting me be a part of this.
Of course. Thank you for coming. We'll have Jayden's Instagram tagged. I'll tag him on Twitter. You'll all be able to find him, and you'll see him all over SportsCenter next year when he's embarrassing dudes every week.
Yes. Stay tuned to the Memphis and Jayden Hardaway story. You know what I'm saying? They're going all the way next year. NIT to the NCAA. Anyone done that? 2 championships in a row?
I'll check the archives. Jayden, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much. For the listeners, we'll be back in 5 minutes. Hello and welcome back. We just finished a great interview with Jayden Hardaway. You do not want to miss that. Make sure you listen to that too. It's awesome. We love Jayden. Good friend of the program. Good friend of mine. Now we're going to pivot to talking about the NCAA tournament. We're not going to do a full tournament breakdown. Cue a crying noise, I guess. I don't know. We don't think anyone would be super interested in that. If you would be, reach out to us. Come get on our clubhouse. There's a lot of fun other ways that we can talk about this stuff. We're just going to do the Elite 8 and the Final 4 right now. Yeah, Elite Eight came out with absolute. Also, for the Elite Eight, we're gonna be focusing on the prospects. We're not about to like go and break down the games and all that. We don't think that that's what you guys want to hear, so it's not what we're gonna do. Elite Eight. Sorry.
As much as some of them were great games, we are just going to focus on the guys for now.
Some of them were insane. Some of them were some insane games, and I really wish I just recorded myself going through those games. There was some sweet emotions going on. Elite Eight came out with absolute fire, starting off with Oregon State's 1-3-1 zone, almost beating the 2-seeded Houston, but Dejan Jarreau was not having that.
Yes, sir.
Chaz absolutely loves the guy. I think he clearly played himself into a late draft slot if he wants it. He is 23. We'll see if that impacts his draft slot. I like him. I have to still integrate. I'm working on my big board, honestly. For all the listeners, I've been completely bombarding Chaz with it. I'm making a big board. I think I'm at 50 prospects right now. I'm still trying to get another 10 to 20 more guys on and then start slotting them around. I have not gotten Dejan Jarreau worked in, so I cannot tell you where he is on my big board. Hopefully, I will be releasing my big board after the NCAA tournament, maybe a week or two after, but keep you updated on that. It's a side project.
For sure. I mean, Dejan Jarreau, John said, I fell in love with him over this tournament and this Houston team. I think he's a great floor general. He's a leader, a winner, the type of guy like you just want on your team, in your locker room. Even if he's getting 0 minutes, I think he'd be impactful. He looks like he is Rondo-style point guard out there where he's grabbing guys. He's in everyone's faces, but at the end of the day, like everyone clearly loves him and what he's done to get the admiration of his teammates and his coaching staff and everything. I'm sure he's a great guy off the court. So he's honestly won over my heart. I almost want Houston to take this whole thing now just because of the way he's been playing.
I would not complain about a Houston win. That would actually make. I mean, as much as it's we've had so little chalk in this tournament. I was so scared with that Michigan UCLA game. I mean, thank God for Johnny Juzang. Thank God for Johnny Juzang saving us from a nearly completely chalk Final Four. We had so many upsets. We had a 2 seed lose to a 15 seed and then make a Sweet 16 run. We deserve better than a chalk Final Four. So thank you, Johnny Juzang and UCLA, for that. Yeah, that was an amazing game, by the way, for anyone who watched. It literally, like, Johnny Juzang had a hero game. He got hurt. He comes back. He hits some crazy pull-ups. He won my heart. He won first round. He won a late first round pick on my big board. I put him in right away. He is a big Malachi theory is what the Athletic has started to call it, as guys who have a really good tournament and then get drafted. But with Juzang, he was already on a lot of big boards because he is 6'6" and just such an elite shooter. He shot over 90% from the free throw line. I am so shocked he missed that last free throw, but hey, it worked out.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely did work out, and I mean, clearly transferring out of Kentucky last year and back home to UCLA to play for Mick Cronin has helped him because they were able to go on this crazy run all the way to the Final Four. I wanted to just say about the Oregon State game, a quick shout out to Ethan Thompson, who was an absolute bucket in this tournament, a senior for Oregon State who led them all the way to a conference tournament championship and the big dance. I mean, they kept going on and on about how this team was pre-ranked beginning of the season to finish dead last in the Pac-12 and ended up winning the conference tournament and made it to the Elite Eight. So any kind of run from that is going to earn one of the greatest college stories for a school. I'm sure his jersey is going to end up being hung up by the Beavers at some point.
And he definitely deserves it. Pac-12 though, this tournament.
Yeah.
Wow. I think after the first day, the only guy whose bracket wasn't busted was Bill Walton, who picked 5 Final Four teams, 2 of which were in the same region. We love you, Bill Walton. Keep being yourself. We don't deserve Bill Walton. We don't deserve him. So I'm sorry I made you move on from the first Pac-12 team to the second Pac-12 team that fast. I didn't want to stay on Oregon State that long. I should have given them a little more time. I want to get back to UCLA. Johnny Juzang, amazing, but he was not the only NBA player on that floor. Their point guard Ty Campbell, absolute I mean, I don't think he's going to get into the NBA, but he played amazing. I'm shouting him out. I loved watching him work. My dad loved watching him work.
Yeah.
And there was Jaime Jaquez.
Jaime Jaquez Jr.
Jaquez? I thought it was Jaquez. Yeah. Come on. I need to learn how to pronounce. I write the names phonetically, and then I write them phonetically wrong. Which is, I'm not sure what's more embarrassing. I'm going to go for both. He's apparently playing himself up boards is what I'm hearing. And he's someone who knows his role. He played on Jalen Green's AAU team. And now he's on UCLA for the Johnny Juzang run. Shows up, plays hard defense, comes in, shoots threes, hits them usually. Had a rougher game last time, but I mean, he was being guarded by Franz Wagner, who's top 10, 14, 15, 20. He's in the upper echelon of this draft. For the draft is we'll talk more about the draft at another point. But he's an upper level draft guy at Franz Wagner. Of course, you're going to struggle. He's got one more game to show that he can play against high-level talent. I imagine he goes back.
Probably.
He might declare, but I think he's going to go back. Maybe get some more tape of him guarding true wing-type players. But whatever it was, he played great. And maybe he does declare, and I wouldn't hate taking him with a second, honestly. Like, I look at the kind of player that he could be, and I'm like, if I am okay with that I am okay with that gamble. And if there wasn't so much talent in this draft already, he might have earned a first spot. I don't know. This is my first time doing a big board, so I can't give you any sort of institutional knowledge of I've done this for years and I would take him. He is this level prospect based on my whatevers. No, I'm doing my first year. All my tiers are based only on this year. All my rankings are based only on this year. I cannot tell you where I think he would go in past drafts, but I think he might have had an argument to go first, like last year.
Yeah, no, I mean, I've loved Jaime Jaquez. I think we'll talk about him a little bit more when we talk about the Final Four because he's going to be a big piece if they got any shot at Gonzaga. Which, spoiler alert, I don't think they do. But he's going to be a huge piece for them because he is a bigger who switches. He can guard the outside, guard the inside. And in their first couple games, I mean, he can get buckets. And if he has a hot game, he's not someone who couldn't go give you 20 and 10 out there and give Drew Timme a seriously hard day sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that we'll talk about that more when we get to the Final Four. I want to talk a little bit about Michigan. I mean, they went into the tournament without Isaiah Livers. It almost felt I am surprised they outlasted Illinois. I am not surprised they didn't make it to the Final Four. I thought they were going to lose to LSU, honestly. They really had Hunter Dickinson really, really went off, but it really didn't do good for him that last game where they took away, what was it, the lefty, whatever. They took away his move, and he was done. He was done, so. He still drew a bunch of fouls, and I thought a lot of them were pretty, not going to say it. But, there were a lot of pretty suspect fouls, but he drew them. Points to him.
Sure.
I think he's going to come back. I think he needs to work on showing what he could be as an NBA player because I think he just looked like a really good college player this year, which, no disrespect, being a really good college player is more than a good thing. And usually you can do that and then go to Europe and continue to be a really good college player. But if he wants NBA aspirations, he's going to need to come back and show it.
For sure. Shout out to Juwan Howard. I mean, he got that roster to the Elite Eight. I did not think they had a shot at making it past the Sweet 16 after Isaiah Livers went out. A lot of people were saying that too. So, I mean, they proved a lot of people wrong. Mike Smith showed off a lot of good point guard skills. Again, he's one of those guys like Tiger Campbell. Seems like he might be a little bit too small for the NBA game right now, but it depends what he's able to add to his game. Hunter Dickinson, I mean, you mentioned him, a good college big. Franz Wagner, we talked about.
Man, we talked about him before. Chaz is much lower on Franz than me. If you wanna go first, and then I can come in and tell you the flip. I'll tell you the roses and cherries, and Chaz can tell you whatever the rest of that expression is, the negative part.
I mean, he had a shot to win it at the end there. Missed. Can't fault anyone for missing that last one. It's tough, obviously, but I don't know. He looked good in his tournament. Don't get me wrong. It's just his brother was a recruit that got to Michigan. So I felt like his path to Michigan was easier than maybe most international players were, not to take anything away from his skill set and what he does on the floor. I'm just saying when your brother's played for the team, you're more likely to get a few more looks than some other guys. And he's a good, talented kid. I think he could benefit from another year of college. I won't be surprised when he goes to the NBA and gets drafted because he has all the size and skill that can't necessarily be taught. But he's not necessarily a lottery pick in my eyes. I don't see him fitting very well in the current NBA game unless he gets a lot better. But he did look good, and he can be a mismatch big on the wings for some guys. I don't know. I'm just not the way that Mo has panned out in the NBA after his run at Michigan. I don't think Franz has been any better in college, so I don't necessarily see him transitioning to the NBA game much better than his brother has.
So I have Franz Wagner in I call it tier 5. I have my stuff. My list is in tiers, and tier 5 is tier 5 and tier 6 are right next to each other. It features a lot of guys who I think could make the league. I'm not 100% sure where they fit on a championship team unless they do a little bit more developing. For Franz, I have him at near the top of that tier still, because I think that a lot of stuff he faltered with is stuff he won't have to do in the NBA. I think that he struggled because he had the ball in his hands and he wasn't getting clean open looks. If you're drafting Franz Wagner to run your offense, you've done him a disservice. You've done Franz a disservice. You should not be bringing Franz in to run your offense. For me, I see Franz as another 3-and-D type player, maybe a smart cutter kind of guy. Not someone who's going to be holding the ball for your entire game, but he's going to be a net positive he's going to be really good on offense, hitting threes. He's got a crazy shot when it's set, when he doesn't have to run off a double screen, handoff, whatever, and then fade, which he really shouldn't have faded. He was way taller than his defender. Whatever. Just like, if you can't get set, don't shoot a pull-up 3 in college. Come on. Like, it's college. You're down. You weren't down 3. We're not getting on that right now. I have a different rant planned out. I can't get on this rant right now, or we're not going to have enough time. I still see Franz as he's a really smart player, and you see it on his off-ball stuff. He's a great off-ball defender. He's always in the right position. That will translate to the next level. And he might not be a positive defender, but he won't be a negative, attack him every time he's on the floor, back cut him every time his guy doesn't have the ball. He's not going to be getting back cut all the time. He might get beat by bigger guys, faster guys, stronger guys. I don't love his on-ball defense, but he'll be in the right position, and he's 6'10" with some long arms, so that'll get him enough stops and bring enough positivity that he won't be the worst guy on the floor. How about that?
I hope his brother sent him a lot of Davis Bertans tape while he was in Washington.
I think he's a lot better than his brother. I mean, I got to watch his brother for a lot as a Lakers fan.
I'm sorry for that.
Franz will benefit a lot from not having to play the 5, from not having to be a center, from being able to be a 3 or a 4, having the lateral quickness to play the 3 or the 4, not at a high level, but to be able to play it. That'll help him a lot. I do still have him in my lottery. On my big board, I don't have a draft board yet because I'm going to wait for teams to come out, because obviously it's all about fit for this guy. This is not a guy that I'm going to want in Houston who's doing a teardown. But if if I'm the Bulls and I don't make the playoffs, which I really hope they do, or what's another team that might make the Raptors, and I just need another guy who I'm like, I need to get a guy who I can plug and play for a run. I'm trying to make the next step. I need a plug and play guy. I would take Franz, give him maybe a year to figure it out, and I think he'd be totally great for that role.
That's fair.
Next game, since we kind of been jumping around, we're going to do Baylor Arkansas. That game happened. Baylor beat Arkansas. I wrote killed, but I feel like that's an overstatement. 9 points. They felt solidly in control the whole game. Moses Moody struggled. I'm not freaking out. Okay. Moses Moody has been asked to do something like, okay, we're evaluating this from a prospect perspective. Yes, it's sad that Arkansas lost. Yes, I would have loved to see Moody still take over. But when Moody gets drafted to the NBA, I don't want him doing the stuff that they're asked of him to do in college.
Yeah.
Muscleman, the coach, was asked, "Oh, how do you get Moses Moody going?" And he said, "Moses has to get himself going." No, run 100 pin downs for the guy. Run a pin down every play for him. Come on, like this is a guy who is an elite shooter with elite size and elite defensive instincts. That I know, like everyone likes to pretend that everyone's a 3-and-D player. There are very few 3-and-D players in the NBA that are actually good at both of those things. If I'm thinking of one, I'm trying to think of like 3 off the top of my head, and I can't. I think of Klay Thompson, and if I really sit there and keep going, like Kentavious Caldwell-Pope,
I mean,
even his 3 comes and goes. But a lot of these guys, they're 3-and-D guys. Their 3 comes and goes, or their defense comes and goes. Moses Moody might be able to be consistently a good 3-and-D player with a little bit of an off-ball game. Like that could be Klay Thompson. It also could just be Danny Green. It could be Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. But you know what?
all of those guys have rings.
That's how many rings has Danny Green's won what, like 3 rings in a row now, something crazy like that?
3 damn things.
Danny Green is an amazing floor. If his floor is to be Danny Green, that's amazing. I would take that. I would take that every day. That's a winning player. I love Moses Moody. I'm not at all. I don't care that he couldn't score when 3 All-Americans, all-conference guys were clued in on every one of his moves, and his coach wasn't just running him as a pin down spot and shoot, spot and whatever guy.
Yeah. Yeah, I have the same real drawbacks of Moses Moody. It's like, of course, he didn't drop 30 a game and take his team to the championship. That would have obviously been what we wanted. But if that happened, he would be like Kawhi Leonard. That's not who Moses Moody is right now. And to see what he still brings, these NBA teams are going to love his switchability, his size, and his ability to take and make shots. Like, he's going to be very highly sought after in this draft. I would not be surprised to see teams try to trade up to go after him if they think they really need a piece on the wing. And
I was shocked to find out that he's only 6'6".
Yeah,
I
doesn't look 6'6".
I thought he was at least 6'7", at least 6'7", 6'8". Like he is big, he is strong, and he has long arms. He's gonna get. I think he's got a good NBA career ahead of him. On a championship team, also, he's got a good career, and he fits on a championship team. That's worth a top 10 pick for me.
Mm-hmm. And this Baylor team, sorry, before we move on, I just want to say that I think this team, a lot of people weren't too sure about them coming into the tournament. I think it's important to remember that with Gonzaga, everyone knows that this is one of the best college teams of all time. Mm-hmm. Baylor was in that same breath before they got COVID this year. Like Maceo Teague, Jared Butler, and Davion Peter Parker Mitchell is an absolute monstrous trio of guards to put on the wing. Offensively and defensively, they're going to cause a lot of problems. And I just wanted to put it out there. Like, this Baylor team is no slouch. The fact that Arkansas only lost by 9 is credit to them. Like,
mm-hmm. And I mean, do we want to talk about the Baylor guys really quick? Davion Mitchell has played himself into that near or in the lottery role. His defense is insane. He's scoring. He looks like he could be a great fit at the guard as like a good starter. Maybe a Tyrese Halliburton type player. Everyone loves that. That's a buzzword at this point. If you say Tyrese Halliburton, you get 30 cents. Jared Butler has struggled a little more. Whatever. Mark Vital, he's not going to get drafted high. He might get a 2nd-round pick. He might get an E10. Yeah. Whatever it is. They've got a lot of NBA level talent. And Maceo Teague, just ridiculous shooter. Mm-hmm. Whatever. All these guys, they're not like high-end NBA talent. None of them are Jalen Suggs. But they all are. I think you're looking at least 4 NBA players on that floor for Baylor.
Under a very good system, very well coached. They all know what they have to do together to win. They got a squad.
They got a squad. Do not sleep on that Baylor team. Mm-hmm. And now I promised Durant is coming. USC played Gonzaga, and USC got embarrassed. It was garbage time by halftime. I think, what was it, Norfolk State or whatever their first game was? I think they put up just as good a fight. The worst part, though, for USC is that Evan Mobley got completely exposed. I've been documented being low on him before this game. I don't know when I'll be publishing my big board, so I'm okay exposing a little bit. Before the game, I had Evan Mobley at 6. and I was ready to move him up. I was ready to be like, okay, if he has a good game, I think he can jump into my top 5, maybe even the top 4, maybe even 2, 3. If he really shows out, I called Chaz and I explained what he needs to do. And I'm like, if he does these things, I need you to hold me to it that he jumps to number 2 on my board.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't do any of them.
No.
He did not do one of them. He did not do one thing that I had listed to get him up a single spot on my board. And obviously it wasn't like, oh, if he does this, he moves 1 spot. No, it was like he needs to hit all of them. Whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I had him 6 before the game. I have him solidly at 6 after the game. He failed at all the stuff we needed him to succeed at. Drew Timme is probably the best big he's had to play this season. Drew Timme isn't universally considered an NBA player. I think people that don't consider him an NBA player are wrong. But he's not considered an NBA player, and he's definitely not considered an NBA starter. He's not someone that's going to get drafted at top 14 and be a starter and ball out. Mobley is lucky he didn't have to go against Garza. That would have been horrible with how badly he got worked by Drew Timme. Drew Timme walked in and did whatever he wanted. He got Mobley so bad, they switched to zone, and then Timme started tearing them apart with his passing in the zone, and they just stuck with it because they were getting beat that badly by him. They were like, we cannot have Mobley guard Timme one-on-one anymore and get more footage that's going to be everywhere. Everyone's going to be watching of him just getting worked by a much littler guy.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to be a successful big in the NBA, you need to be able to switch on the perimeter and bang a little bit down low. You need to rim protect and switch. Evan Mobley didn't show the ability to do either of those things. This was his first real test. He didn't show the ability to do anything. He didn't show the ability to bang with Drew Timme. Like, being in a center, that's your entire value. Yes, you can be. There's how many centers since 2011, since Dwight Howard, how many teams have been built around a scoring center and won?
None.
Just one. This year's Philadelphia 76ers. Oh, and Nikola Jokic, but Nikola Jokic isn't a center. Nikola Jokic is not a center. Don't tell me he's a center. He just plays the 5. He is a point guard that plays the 5.
Yeah.
We've had one real center that has led his team anywhere as the start from the 5 position, not through defense. And he's also an all-NBA defender, possibly a DPOY candidate every year.
Mm-hmm.
So for Evan Mobley to be a center, to need to reach that level, you have to look at him at that level. You have to look at if he's going to be able to be as good an offensive player and defensive player as Joel Embiid. That's a high ask. And we haven't even seen Joel Embiid do anything in the playoffs yet.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know what you think, unless you literally think Evan Mobley is a generational, changing the NBA level talent. You cannot be banking on him. He doesn't, unless you expect him to literally, if you're telling me that he's a top 5 pick, you need to believe that he's a generational talent, that he's going to do stuff that we do not see other NBA centers ever do, because that's how good he needs to be to break the mold. There's nothing wrong with that. You need to look at how he's supposed to fit, which is why I like Scotty Barnes a little more. Because Scotty Barnes switches on everybody. Scotty Barnes runs a short roll. Scotty Barnes is okay not shooting. Scotty Barnes is a super athlete with a massive wingspan. Scotty Barnes will man up on anybody on the floor.
Will also run the point guard.
Yeah. People were harping on him for it. He just got better as a playmaker. It's going to be insane him on a short roll with all this point guard reps that he got in.
Mm-hmm.
For Evan Mobley, I reached out to a scout who I love his work. I respect him I respect him so much. I asked him about Evan Mobley. I'm like, am I crazy? He's like, I'm not high on Mobley either. I think that he looks like LaMarcus Aldridge. He's too stiff. Mm-hmm. And now LaMarcus Aldridge is a good NBA player. But if you got LaMarcus Aldridge and he's your best player, are you winning the championship?
Go ahead and ask the 2012 Portland Trailblazers.
No. No. He was the second, but was he on the Spurs team with Kawhi? And no, that was Powell, I think. So
yeah.
Whatever it was. LaMarcus was not like, LaMarcus was great. LaMarcus was a good NBA player.
He's an
LaMarcus
all-star.
has a bunch of all-star games. I don't think he has maybe a few all NBAs even. He doesn't have any playoff success. He has no playoff success. He's never been the number one option on a good playoff team that you're scared to play and is taking you down, especially since the 2014 verticality change. He's had to switch to being a center. It's been LaMarcus Aldridge is not what you want if you're getting in last year's draft. If you got LaMarcus Aldridge second overall, you'd be really happy. In this year's draft, if you're taking LaMarcus Aldridge second overall over Jalen Suggs, Jalen Green, Jonathan Kuminga, and Scotty Barnes, guys who profile to be top players in the NBA, or even Kuminga and Barnes profile to be some of the better, have the ability to be some of the best defenders in the NBA. They've got the ability that they could do it. Suggs and Green look like some of the possibly future best scorers in the NBA. Those are their ceilings. Obviously, they're not all going to go be those level players, even though I would love to see it. They're not all probably going to be those level of players. But that ceiling is higher than Evan Mobley being an offensive hub who's like all right at defense. Unless you get another guy. But you're taking your guy right now. So I got Evan Mobley low. He really did not show out. Speaking of guys who showed out, Jalen Suggs, his competition for the number 2 overall pick, showed out. He showed out. He continues to show that he can be part of a team and get his own points without disrupting his teammates' flow. He showed again and again why he should be the number 2 overall pick. And he has 1 or 2 more games to continue building that resume, whereas Mobley ends his run with a defensive dud in the Elite 8. And in the Sweet 16, his team ran a lot of zone. They had an NBA guard to guard. This would have been a great time to get to show, hey, Evan Mobley can guard guards. Evan Mobley can guard guards. And they ran zone almost the entire game. And now I know they love running zone down in USC, but scares me that you don't want to have your best defender in the league guarding Chris Duarte.
Yeah, I mean, defensive player of the year, hopefully you'd be comfortable with him switching on to someone else who was literally in the conference. So hopefully probably would have guarded him at some point this year in Chris Duarte. But yeah.
Or how about just guarding Drew Timme, a guy who's not supposed to be in the NBA?
I mean, for me, I'm pretty sure Isaiah Mobley ended up looking like the better Mobley brother at the end of this tournament between the two of them. Like and I hope for Evan's sake that he is proud and he is happy for his older brother, because obviously he is going to be drafted in the NBA lottery this year and he's going to go make himself millions upon millions of dollars. But for someone who won player, freshman, and defensive player of the year in the Pac-12, he certainly did not look like Anthony Davis on that run, who is the only other player to win all 3 awards in the same season, albeit obviously in a different conference. But it definitely did not look like he had the mobility on defense that a lot of people hoped he would. He's not out here just swatting shots left and right, which is what you kind of would want from someone who's supposed to be one of the defensive players in the nation.
I don't even need him swatting shots. I just need him to show that he can switch as a rim protector, that he can guard a big 1-to-1 in college. Because how are you going to do it in the NBA if you can't do it in college? And then you show up and it's, I've got Joel Embiid. And then Jonas Valanciunas shows up and eats you alive. And then Nikola Jokic brings you on the outside and throws you everywhere. Like, you're not going to get, you're not getting worse players in the NBA to learn from. I don't know what you're supposed to do at that point. Maybe you hope that he's a 4, but I don't think he has the dribbling to be a 4. He's a 5. He's at least a playoff 5,
Yeah, I mean, when I look at Evan Mobley, I think if his ceiling is going to be anything, and obviously this is the ultimate ceiling, I think he needs to start watching some Admiral David Robinson tape. That's what he should build his game around, and that's the only frame I think he could fill out and still be dominant. But I don't even know if that style of big man would work nowadays in the NBA. It's hard to tell. Like,
I also don't know if he's going to be able to fill out. He's a really skinny guy, and yes, he'll put on some weight, but how much weight does he need to put on? Can his body hold that much more weight? Thon Maker was never able to put on enough weight. It holds you back.
Joel
Embiid was, and it's changed his game radically that he's able to be the biggest guy on the court. All right. We're going to looking forward to the Final Four. We got Houston, Baylor first up, 5:15 Saturday. We'll be having a watch party on our clubhouse. The link will be on our Instagram. It's going to be awesome. Tune in. It'll be so much fun. Anyone who needs an invite, hit me up. I've got them. Chaz, who do you have?
Honestly, I'm going to pick Houston because I want them to win. I think Baylor will, but I just want to say quickly, I think this could be one of the best games of the year, maybe one of the best college games of all time. I think you're looking at three-headed monsters on both sides, like teams that play incredibly well, perimeter guard, offensively, defensively. They run a lot of different schemes. It's going to be great to watch, just like Giroux, Grimes, and Sasser against Butler, Teague, and Mitchell. It's going to be a crazy game. What about you, John?
I cannot say it any better than you just said it. You know, I'll take Baylor just to have some opposition, but I think Mark Vital could be a really big part of the Baylor win. I also just love Davion Mitchell. I have fallen in love with Davion Mitchell this tournament. That dude's a winner. And I value that so much. One more time, link will be it will be on our Instagram. Hit me up for an invite if you don't have one. Second game, UCLA Gonzaga. I'm going to say it. I know we both have Gonzaga here. They match up really well with the UCLA team too, which is very bad for UCLA. No one matches up well against Gonzaga, so the least you can hope is that Gonzaga doesn't match up well against you, and they do. Here's my hot bet. I think UCLA covers the spread.
Ooh.
I'm pretty sure it's a 14-point spread. I'm pretty sure it's 14. I'm pretty sure it is literally the largest spread in Final Four history. So, yes, I am taking the bet because, that's what the math dictates to do. I'll do an episode on gambling with math one time. But I'll take the spread.
UCLA's played some close games, so I mean it's not a bad bet. I just want to say about this Gonzaga team. Obviously, everyone knows how good they've been this year. I heard something the other day from Pat McAfee, who's a football player, who said that he was watching the Elite Eight game, and him and his wife were watching the game, and he had to take a moment to tell her, like, you know what? Let's put down our phones and watch this team because this might be the greatest college basketball team of all time. Let's take a moment to appreciate this run they're on. And, hey, you know what? If they lose to UCLA, even better because it'll mean that UCLA's gone on this crazy March Madness. I mean, they got a shot, obviously, because they're playing them, but –
If UCLA beats – people have said, oh, yeah, UCLA, you only hang banners for titles. I think that if UCLA beats Gonzaga, they should hang a banner for making the championship. I know that they don't usually do banners for making the championship when you're in UCLA and you have 11 national championship banners. Also, I just want to point out how funny – I mean, everyone's written about it. I'm not going to go on. How funny it is that a team with 11 national championships has become the underdog. But they are. They are because they might be going against the best team in college basketball history. It's just – it's going to be a gorgeous matchup, I hope, or it might be a 20-point blowout. Either way, I would not be whatever the result is, as long as Gonzaga wins, I won't be surprised. How about that? Johnny Juzang is a beast. If his ankle is all right, I know he was clearly very injured at the end of the Michigan game. He couldn't really do anything off the bounce. It's an ankle. Usually, if you can play on it, it takes you like a day to get it back to good enough. So I hope that he's all right, because having him healthy is going to make this game awesome. So awesome.
Yeah. Very excited.
Also, I just got to say, I think Gonzaga's getting cocky, but
when you're 30-0.
Yeah, I get it. I don't think that Drew Timmy's going to let them be cocky, but I think that they're getting a little cocky. I also don't think Mark Few will let them be cocky. He has death stares 24/7. He doesn't care if they're up 30. He's like, that's just what I imagine. Like, I wish he had. This is just how I imagine his inner dialogue. This wraps it up for us here at Ball Talk. Thank you again for listening, liking, subscribing, rating, reviewing, all that. People, please keep doing it. We need it. We hope you really enjoyed this episode. And until next time, thank you for tuning in to Ball Talk.
Hold it down.
It's Ball Talk. It's Ball Talk, baby. 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 Baby, baby, baby.